if you can see what we have done, it's all in here, summarized in this whole thing. So what we are very proud of doing is that we have spent a lot of our own effort and money. There's no support from outside at this point to get the data of over now 18,000 AAPI nonprofits around the country that is run by AAPI and serving AAPI. And the whole process, we want you to know, is that takes a lot more effort, and we want to collaborate with many people. I understand that we will have a much longer time to show all this when we get to the capital on the 20th. So we can walk you through how it can be navigated on your cell phone, because now it's become mobile responsive as well, okay? So these are the firmest, the biggest database we have collected so far, and is very filterable. That means very interactively filtered, that you can actually see if you choose different ethnicity, where do they spread, what are they serving. So you can also see all these data, when are they formed. All this history are all in there. So it's a very, very dynamic, a very good database. I want to give a few minutes to our developer. I want to introduce her, and that is Mary Bracco. So she can tell you about how difficult it was for her and all these technology that she has used to put this working for us. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you. It's a pleasure for being here. Thank you SK and AAUC for inviting me to speak to you briefly today and then more in depth tomorrow. I think what I want to echo from Ezra's introduction is that it's a centralized place for AAUC and other organizations that are part of AAUC to come together and create products that are empowering and helping decision making. There's a lot of data and a lot of geographic data, in fact, that can help your community make better decisions, better informed decisions. And we want to showcase the hard work of creating a comprehensive data set that has over 18,000 nonprofit organizations, and not only their names and their locations where they span geographically, but what are they doing to promote a lot of the equity, education, health efforts around the country. I think it contains a lot of information that could be useful for a lot of different communities. There's ethnicity filters, organization types, assets, both income and a lot of formation when they are formed. But I think the most important one is getting the crowdsource aspect of it. If you are running an organization, if you know an organization that is not currently in the data set, we welcome you to fill out the survey, to be a part of this community and empower and bring light to your organization as well. SK and Yen work really hard to ensure that as you are submitting, they are reviewing and approving these organizations. And then I think one last thing that I wanted to share is that this is one application, this is one use case, but there's the hub architecture and the infrastructure within Esri allows us to create more applications but have them featured in a centralized place. So if there's education data or census data that you need or you think would be helpful for your use cases, we welcome that conversation to create more applications and more pages that can be used by the whole community. Thank you.
We have been developing this concept of that since 2020. So it's been about 4 years' time. Initially, the proposal from one of our board members was to put something on a map. then I contacted Estri, who is a very big organization that even Blue Raster has a lot of work with them, that you are their developer. But I also, they have advised me and talked to me, and they said, oh, I think what you need is a hub. And I said, what's a hub? So I look it up, and I see they have actually developed a lot of hub for cities, counties, and so forth that offers a lot of tools, applications, services in there. So my dream now gets much bigger. So I think what we need is a online community hub for our Asian American Pacific Islander and also the native Hawaiian. Now we have to distinguish all these. It's kind of a pain for me, but we think we're all Asian. But anyway, so that's kind of the story of how it got developed. And initially, they have volunteered to do that for us because that was also the time where there was a lot of anti-Asian hate. And they felt guilty, and they felt they want to do something for the Asian community. So that was a very nice gesture on their part. So this was their nonprofit program group that I had talked to. So we signed up a user fee. Normally, the user fee for other people are like thousands of dollars per year, per user. But for nonprofit, what they do, they actually offer us per user $200 per year. And user doesn't mean people who go online and want to look at that. User to them is actually the developer, the people who actually go in and modify the program and do all these things. So actually, we only pay for 2 users for all the work that we have done. One is for me and one is for our developer. So for us, the cost is, actually $100 per user. So it's like $200 I pay out each year. So it's very, very affordable. They give away certain part of credits that we can use to store our data. But I don't know what that means at this point. So far, we haven't exceeded that necessity to increase, our data storage and so on. But I have a huge dream of really try to connect our siloed communities, because I don't get into civic engagement until I retire from my businesses, okay? So that means it was like 6-7 years ago. And I don't understand what is AAPI tell you. I don't know what AAPI consists of, what they do, what their characters are like, how many are there. So this is my own curiosity. When we want to represent this group, at least we need to know what this group is about, right? And we're trying to connect, and then we don't know who's out there. That kind of doesn't make sense to me. So my previous life, I am trained as a theoretical physicist. And I had worked for Honeywell in the research development, for materials and other things, in the defense department, defense research for about 14 years. And I don't care about civic engagement. It was not my field. I'm not in politics, right? So just like a lot of the people now starting to wake up. So the last few years we felt we are the great awakening. Now our communities are waking up, because before we just put our head down and do our work and just like good citizens, give the tax to our government and not infringe on the law. So I'm sorry, I'm just taking it a little bit longer time so that people can come in and just kind of hear some stories. So anyway, so I think it's very fortunate that after they volunteer for us, they said, hey, you need to connect with this company called Blue Raster. They are a very high quality developer. And so I talked to them and said, I only get $2,000 that I can approve to develop this prototype. Can you help? And I think Michael at that time was talking and said, well, we are not Astri. We are a very small company. but they still take on, they really helped us, to kind of get the framework of this put down. So in my mind, the community, if it is a hub, it needs to provide information, kind of like a marketplace, where people take their ware, take what they have, go to a marketplace, you offer what you have, you buy what you want, and you look at the bulletin board and you say, oh, what's happening there, right? So those are the things, there's a call of action, whatever. So those are the kind of things I have in mind, is how we can develop this AAPI hub. So first thing we did is to kind of download some data that is easily accessible, which is all the latest census data that we could get on. So the census data focus a lot on where the API communities gathered and where's the population, what's the different ethnic groups percentage there, number there, and so forth, even down to the precinct level. So it's pretty powerful, very powerful. Then we also have some data on the elected officials, who have Asian background. So we also have that, but that has not been updated. So. And then my thought was, oh, we should have a community calendar. The calendar should tell people what each community is doing. Then they can just look up the calendar and say, oh, there's some seminar offered here and there, and you can look up sorted out by different community too. So that's kind of my dream. And then we said, well, how are we going to network? How are we going to connect with all these different groups? So we thought, well, maybe we'll just use our own database, which is only several hundred or thousand. Then something came to my mind, and it was out of something unrelated, because I was filing a tax return, and I said, I don't see my tax return. How come they're telling me I haven't filed the AAUC tax return yet? So I bugged the company and said, look up this website. It has all the tax return of all the different nonprofit there. And so that tricks my mind and say, we can just use those databases, just sort them out. It has all the nonprofits of all AAPI organization there. So that gives me the hope of having a very complete data. So digging up 18,000 organization is not easy task, right? Out of 1.8 million nonprofit that is being out there. So how do we sort? So the way to sort them, we were using a lot of keywords that is associated with Asian American nomenclature. And luckily we have a very good staff who is Indian origin, and she knows all these Sanskrit words and everything. So I'm telling you, the whole database is biased towards Indian organization because we have hundreds of those search words. But we actually developed over 400 some search words and then categorized them according to what these search words belong to what group. And that's our real contribution from our side of how we can sort out, filter out by ethnic groups. By different types of mission, it's easy because on the IRS return, you have to classify yourself, what type of organization you are. So that's easy sort. And then finding the location, they have an address. So those are easy find for us. So now I want to kind of tell you a lot of things already, which is not on the slide. Sorry. So I think I can turn this over to you. I'm sorry, I don't know we are still talking about the agenda. So I'd like to kind of recap where we are and how we're going. And I'd like to spend most of our time teaching you how to navigate on the cell phone of this beautiful hub that was being developed and see the power of that, okay? So I can just pass it over. But the functionalities, you know, you can think about if this is a hub, what need do you have? You want to also offer services. That's the way to get people to come to visit you over and over again. So the services will come if we have a data of who is doing what. Right now, we have services that includes human services, you know, education, human services. So those things you can filter out very easily, and you can also filter out by ethnic groups too. So you can see if I'm Chinese, I want education, where are they? What's the contact information? And we actually also find out what year they are formed. And then we also find out how much money they have. So these are public data. We didn't have to ask everyone to get that. So this is the power of this website. So I want to turn this over to you, then you can talk.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want the slide of the Esri intro, or should I skip that?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, so my name is Mary Bracho. I am a GIS analyst with Blue Raster. We are a small business out of the Arlington, Virginia. Could you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay. And we are an Esri partner. So a lot of our work that we do is helps users tell their stories using GIS and empowering your story reach more audiences. So can we share my screen? Is that possible? Yeah, I shared my screen already. Yeah, I'll stop and share again. Yep. If you slide, there's a slider. Can you make it bigger? There you go. Okay, so this is the hub that SK did a great introduction, and Yan also alluded to it. It's the AAPI Community Hub, and it's built on the Esri technology called Hub. And for the purposes of this audience, I think we can think of this hub as a virtual environment where all of the diverse communities can come in and not only share, but get empowered to create other applications that can help your needs, your very specific needs, because there's a lot of different communities and associations here today. So I'm going to do a quick walkthrough through what it looks like on the browser, but then we're going to pivot to the mobile view. Again, there is where you can share information, where we're highlighting community services, the organization network piece. You can join the community so you can follow the hub and all of the information being shared here. Part of this is getting your involvement too, sharing your community calendar. Right now we are highlighting the Unity Summit here in DC this year, but we would love to expand this calendar to maybe holidays, maybe you have focus group areas or even something virtual. It doesn't have to be in person. We can add it to the calendar and have a place where people can see an event and join the event. These are the prototypes that were built by both the Esri team and the Blue Raster team. They're, again, prototypes. So voting power base, we have the nationwide statistics, and you can see where the predominant category by the AAPI community for each congressional district. The good thing about the hub, where it's different from a website, is that you can interact with the maps themselves. So you can click on a map and it'll tell you what congressional district it is and who is it represented by, what is the dominant ethnicity, and then also showcase the diversity of all of the other non-prominent ethnicities for that district. Additionally, there is here, the good thing about Esri, they have thousands of authoritative data sets. So they work with the Census Bureau, they work with NOAA, they work with a lot of different organizations and have authoritative data sets that you can use to empower your decision making. So here you can see the Asian population in the United States down to the census tract level. So it's not just state, county, city, it goes really deep. And if you click on one of these, I'll let you know the actual count and the percentage of that population. There's other maps that we thought could be of use or of interest for others. So the race and ethnicity web map, or even the Asian group centroids throughout the United States. But these are just prototypes of what we think people can use, and if you have other needs that could benefit from GIS, we would love, SK would love to partner with other organizations to create these tools that can lead to, policy changes or educational efforts for the community, by the community. Okay. Again, this was the elected officials, showing the distribution of the elected officials that had Asian American backgrounds. And then this is the one tool that we've been working really hard together with SK and Yan. And this is the one that's showcasing the IRS data. Right now we are using the beginning of the year, so 18,446 nonprofit organizations that are benefiting over 20 different ethnic groups, over 20 organization types around the whole US. Wanted to quickly show you, we're here in DC, so let's change our state filter, and now all of my data is gonna go and filter to the DC area. But what am I interested in? Maybe I'm interested in education organizations, so it filters it even more. And okay, I want to know, what does this organization do? You can click on the map, you can click on the table, there's many different ways that you can interact with it, and it'll let you know. This is the Asian Pacific American Bar Association Educational Fund. Here's an address if you want to contact them, but more importantly, this is their assets, their revenue, here's the website that you can reach. We're looking to validate some of the information that we've gathered for the IRS. So if you belong to any of these organizations and you see information that is not the latest, we welcome to update the data set to strengthen the data set. But we also welcome, if you don't see an organization that you are a member of or you know of, you can submit a form to add you to the data set. The AAUC team worked hard to review the organization, make sure it fits all of their criteria, and then you get added to the main data set. But there's other ways than just seeing it. You can filter out and their mission and diversity. You can see the power of, let's say, an ethnicity group. I'm just gonna click one, and now I filter my ethnicity pie chart, but then you see the different distributions of the organizations. And maybe there is not a lot of organizations promoting, let's say, like the environment. And maybe that's something that you wanna focus on, and maybe that's where you wanna start. Or there is a lot of arts and cultural humanities organizations, and you wanna partner with them. So this is a way of identifying what is out there, where's their space for growth. And then another viewpoint or way of organizing the data is with the assets. You can filter if you want to see what is the economic power or strength assets-wise for the education organization. So it will filter the totals. It would also filter since when have organizations for Asian American organizations for education had started forming in the US. And you can see how the growth of those organization types and the distribution of their assets. So yeah, this is the application. of the networks. And now, if you can, do we have the QR code? Okay, and yep. I would try to mirror it here on my computer for ease, so that you can see what I can show you what it looks. Yeah. Well, that comes up again. This is one type of application that could be featured in the hub. Storytelling is another big part of what it's of interest through all of the different panels and the talks yesterday. There's a lot of storytelling using voice media such as audio, video, pictures that can be used so that it gives you the power to be the author of the story that's being shared. And again, using GIS in this way and having a centralized location, I think that's one of the things that AAUC wants to, have a platform for organizations to come together and showcase all stories or applications and all kinds of data. Okay, the QR code is there. Should I go back to my screen? Sorry. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So when you scan the QR code, you're going to be taken to the home page. Because it's not, this is a hub, not like a WordPress website, there is current things that we wanted to explain here in person today. The navigation button does require you to pick a page that you want to go to and collapse it and then go ahead and explore. We've made a lot of the content mobile friendly in the different pages. The AAPI network, again, has its own page, and similar to the web version, you have the map that is interactive. You can expand it if you want to have a more map-centric experience. You can then collapse it if you are more comfortable in a tabular format. You can go on the bottom and you can type in an organization that you're familiar with or ethnicity that of interest, and it will start, auto-populating from the database all the organizations that meet the text that you've inserted. In the bottom, you can see the total amount of organizations that is being filtered. The filters are under this icon. Again, the same states, ethnicity, and the organization type filters are available on web. And it does, or you can see filters in the map and also on the table. And then you can navigate to the different pages if you want to move on to the Mission and Diversity tab. The filters are in the bottom, and you can filter again by state, ethnicity, and organization type. Any questions that I can answer right now as you guys are exploring or from the presentation? You can open it. Oh, sorry. The IRS, yes. Yeah. So I think if it's a nonprofit organization filing through the IRS, it will be in here if it meets the search criterias. So if there's a common, like a search term that we didn't use, that's great feedback to strengthen the database as well. Thank you. Yep, if you go to the AAPI network one, and there is a search right there. You can follow the screen. If you go to home, AAPI network, and then you can search on the tabular. I know you had a question. Yeah. Yeah. We
I
have.
think we actually there's some Samoa. I can have that.
Yeah.
As long as they register. Oh, the question was whether it only includes the continental U.S., but it also includes Hawaii. It includes Alaska, so they're not continental U.S., but it's whatever that belong, they need to file the IRS to qualify for them to be a 501c3. It will be in the IRS database. So we based on the IRS database to do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
It has an address associated to each organization, and we map it to that address, even if it's a PO box.
IRS updates the data every month. So what we did this past year, we work on it when we built the prototype, or whatever that we had last year was old, so we have to refresh that, and we added like 1,800 some new organization there. I don't know whether we filter out the other ones that are not there.
We took the latest, and if it was already identified in the previous iteration, we left it there. And if we picked up new organizations, we combined them. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, you can click on more than one. You can select as many choices as you want.
I think it has to do with how you file.
Yeah, how you file it.
Yeah.
So sometimes AUC is filed under A23, which means it's arts and culture. Okay, so it's not, AUC also does civil engagement. So I think it is kind of, you have to go and know the organization, but we just categorize according to what they report. Yes. You could change that and say, I also want to add another, category to it. I think we should have the ability to handle that. I'm sorry, there's a question over there. Yes, it has not been updated. We're working with APIA vote. No, not APIA vote, but APAC, APAICS, the Institute of Congressional Study, and they were trying to share with us their data that they collected for each election cycle. So they also tracking all the candidates too, and that changes quite a bit. So but then we found they probably seems to have less data than I thought they have. But anyway, we're just exploring that with them right now. So we definitely want to have the best data out there. And I have, talked to, but we only have very limited funding, right? So at this point, we actually have zero funding from outside. We're doing all this work with some personal funding, that's all we have done. So here we're asking for partnership, teaming with us, and we want to share the cost with you, and definitely give you credit for being part of this, partnering with us to share those data, because we don't have a lot of other types of keywords. I know like Vietnamese word has different description. and we probably missed out a bunch of those, right? But we pick up a lot of Indian organizations because of our staff, and we pick out some Chinese special, kind of description that we know of. But that's how we kind of filter them.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I may, just a little bit more. The prototypes on the shared information page are outdated, but it was just to show the art of the possible. It's to see, depending on your need, what would be a map-centric solution that can empower your decision making or tell a story.
You have a question? Let him ask one. Yes, we need a broadline team. We actually try to get volunteer and from the students group, and the MET has offered some students for us, but each of them give you 2 hours, 3 hours here and there. So it's very difficult, to organize. And we did give them the training, how we should filter. Because initially, I'm a very ambitious person, okay? I want every organization to be looked at 4 times by 4 different opinions to say, is this a real AAPI organization? By definition, I call them AAPI organization not only by their name, like Asian Society, how do you know whether they're Asian run or not? But when you know Asian, they are so famous now, they are not run by Asian, and they're not particularly want to serve Asian. So I have to throw them out, even though they do have, that kind of a nomenclature. So it takes some knowledge of that, and we have to go to each individual website to look through what they have up there. A lot of them don't have website. They don't carry website. They have Facebook. So if the Facebook is there, it's not that much. Yeah. Yeah. No, not by my definition. Yes, I think I get to you. Okay, Annie. No, I will ask him to. You. Mm-hmm. Yes, we have a lot of religious organization there because they have special names, like they call it Chinese or Korean, or we actually have a Quran community. They also call their churches Quran Baptist Church or Quran something. So with that we know. But if we just use Quran, tons of people with a name with Quran. So it's just like so for us, we have to say there are some excluded words. We have to include certain phrases. So that's kind of a little bit of a soft, technique involved. It's not just straight, okay, we download it from IRS and then that's it, But we actually have to go through a lot of, I don't know how many hours of my time and Mr. Lowe's time and all the other people's time that I could get my hands on. So they actually helped me filter that whole bunch. There was like 24,000 of them that we filtered down and kick out, a whole bunch of them. We use Hawaii. Wow, there's like thousands of organizations called Hawaii. So how do we know this our native Hawaiian organization? So So those are the things I need help on, like people who come from Hawaii, like Miss Marilyn. Yes. So I actually go to other websites and I can see different organizations that they link with. Then from there, I can also include more organization that way. Yes, it would be perfect. No, I only have one staff that's working on it. Very part time. Very part time. Okay, question? Yeah.
We're super excited about this, especially the census integration. Would you guys be okay if we